I will be the last creature when I am done. The cosmos will then be perfect, free of the braying abominations that are all other living things.
Hello everybody! Jordan here, the PH is silent, and with this video I'll be discussing Orcus, the Lord of the Undead, the Prince of Undeath, the Blood Lord, Master of Vampires, and the Shadow that was. Orcus has gone through slight variations as he evolved in Dungeons & Dragons. Like many items from D&D, Orcus was taken from the real-world mythology and religion that we all have. Orcus was known as the god of the underworld and the punisher of broken oaths in Roman mythology. The word Orcus was synonymous with the deity and his underworld location, much like how Hades is a person and a place. Hades, Pluto, or Hell could all be the same as Orcus, except where he was worshipped, Orcus was depicted as only evil, the one who torments and punishes evildoers in the afterlife. Because of his association with death and the underworld, later on he became associated with demons and monsters. Orcus was probably the basis for the word orco, or orcs, in mythology, and ogre, too. For Dungeons & Dragons, he seems like an amalgamation of these. His body is large like a fantasy orc, bloated like an ogre, but with goat legs and horns like that of a demon. And also bat wings. Before you have heard about Orcus, you most likely have heard about the Wand of Orcus, a magical artifact that's been with Dungeons & Dragons since the 70s. Although called the Wand of Orcus, it functioned as a mace with the skull on top that was a skull from an enemy that Orcus had killed many centuries ago. Orcus's realm is the 113th layer of the Abyss, known as Thanatos, although in earlier adventures it was the 333rd. Full of undead, it's a frozen place with various creatures or necropolises throughout. The air is so thin here, it really can't support life. A blood moon shines over the barren land except for a few hours of daylight, where a heatless light shines dimly. Orcus was a mortal creature at one point. He was a strong spellcaster on the prime material plane, somewhere in the multiverse. When he died, his soul went to the abyss because of his wicked deeds, and he came back as a lowly larva. And from here, Orcus climbed the ranks by killing those stronger than him, and evolving into higher forms of demons, from larva to Mane to Dretch, eventually Glabrizu to Nalfshini and a Balor. And after that, he ascended to the rank of Demon Lord, becoming the Prince of Undeath. Orcus is often worshipped or bargained with by liches or those wizards who wish to unlock lichdom. By the 900s DR, Orcus was considered a minor deity because of worshippers within the multiverse. However, Orcus is not all-powerful and was killed by a drow goddess of necromancy, Kira Ansali. Kira Ansali was also mortal once, a lich drow wizard who became a demigod that enjoyed rebelling against Lolth and disrupting her followers. I can't find an adventure or novel that explains how Kira Ansali took out Orcus, but afterwards she ruled his domain in the Abyss. Kira Ansali was fearful Orcus might return, and that the Wand of Orcus could facilitate that. She had her followers bury it somewhere within the multiverse. We know from the Adventure Dead Gods that it was buried or hidden deep within the howling winds of Pandemonium. It's kind of fitting that the Prince of Undeath has to die and then he returns as an undead entity, and some believe that this was the plan all along for Orcus. Once killed by Kira Ansali, an aspect of him remained, a divine aspect, and took the form of a shadowy demon. Now, this entity needed to regain the Wand of Orcus to reignite his divinity and return to power. Good thing Kira Ansali's followers hid it. Now, two Planescape adventures, The Great Modron March and Dead Gods, are about Orcus's return to power. So, spoilers if you don't want to know the secrets of these adventures. To not raise suspicion, Orcus renamed himself Tenebros and discovered a divine spell called the Last Word, which once spoken would kill any non-divine being. He killed Primus, the god of the Modrons, not with the before-mentioned spell, and took control of the remaining Modrons before another could rise up to take the spot of Primus. He then sent them out, searching for the Wand of Orcus. Along the way, he also killed an Illithid god known as Manzenkorian, who he believed knew the location of the magical artifact. Ultimately, Tenebros was stopped by adventurers who thwarted him obtaining his divinity. Wizards of the Coast wouldn't let Orcus die just yet, so in later editions he was brought back. A high priest of Orcus resurrected him in a ritual that took place on the astral plane. Not tied to an adventure that I could find, this was some canon that was created to explain why Orcus had returned. The Prince of Undeath reclaimed his throne and kingdom from Kira and Sali, but not his divinity. From this point forward, Orcus would be a demon lord, but his divine aspect was separate from him, yet still exists somewhere in the multiverse. A powerless vestige called Tenebros. Orcus was brought into 5th edition with the adventure Out of the Abyss, as were all the demon lords. Now, in that adventure, he killed and resurrected an illithid elderbrain controlling the entire hive. He hates Demogorgon and Grazit the most, fearing their power. He is constantly attempting to siege Grazit's abyssal territories by sending wave after wave of undead. Orcus has not been successful yet. He stands about 15 feet tall with a long tail that can inject poison into his enemies. And mostly seen with just the wand of Orcus, in earlier editions there was a great sword called Orcus Sword, which he used when he was still a Balor. This magical artifact is kept on the negative energy plane, and it is a unholy +6 greatsword with various evil magical abilities. Cultists of Orcus are many and widespread. I think because of Orcus's divine aspect in earlier editions of Dungeons & Dragons, he has the most cultists. I mean, there always seems to be Orcus cultists running around. Orcus demands living sacrifices from his followers, but he doesn't really care that he has worshippers. So the most vile humans often get his attention by doing terrible sacrifices to simply be noticed. Creatures that do worship Orcus are mostly vampires, liches, and evil clerics. In 4th edition, Orcus wanted to control the Shadowfell and planned to overthrow the Raven Queen, taking her place. The amount of undead he would have at his disposal would be vast. So powerful would Orcus become with the Shadowfell at his disposal that even Vecna opposed Orcus's ambition and sided with the Raven Queen. The Wand of Orcus is really fun and super evil. You have to make a Constitution saving throw to attune to the wand, and if you succeed, you take 10d6 necrotic damage, but if you fail, you die. Just straight up, and you come back as a zombie. The wand gives you a bunch of spells and a +3 to your armor class. I made a Death Cleric that has the Wand of Orcus, and that would be an epic character to play, but also an adventure, kind of Lord of the Rings style of taking the wand and destroying it. But destroying the wand is a complicated process, but it has been done in D&D history. In this video about the level 100 adventure in D&D, I talk about the path to destroying the Wand of Orcus. You have to travel to the Abyss, steal the Wand of Orcus, return it to Bahamut, who then takes you to Avernus to fight Tiamat and use her blood as an ingredient in the wand's destruction. Of course, the path to the wand's destruction is different in different editions, but if you're curious about that video, I'll link it here or in the description. That's it for today. Thank you all for watching so much, and I'll see you all in the next video.